Thanks for downloading another segment from the Best of the Classic Metal Show. The Classic Metal Show is heard live on Saturdays from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassicmetalshow.com. And now here's another piece of Classic Metal Show history on the Best of the Classic Metal Show.
The Classic Metal Show.
That's London from the latest release, The Metal Years, on Cleopatra Records. And the name of the tune there is called Ride You Through the Night, which you can also find on the DePriest release, Playa del Rock. But Cleopatra has released this compilation disc with 16 tracks on it, which also includes the new cover version of the Motley Crue classic, Shout at the Devil. And one of those guys responsible over there at Cleopatra Records, Tim Yasui, who is a friend of Tim Yasui, friend of Nader. And
Who?
Tim Yasui, friend of Nader and Lizzie Gray. He works over there at Cleopatra, and he wants to come out to Cleveland and be part of the Classic Metal Show 13-year anniversary. And we want to welcome...
He's still a fucking dick.
Thank you. Well, we want to welcome Tim to the Classic Metal Show. Welcome, Tim.
I'm honored, guys. Truly honored.
Well, Tim, we were just talking to you off air, and, people may or may not know who you are, but you are a drummer, and you do play with Lizzie Gray and his Spiders and Snakes, and you have played with Nader and his London or DePriest. Now, when did you play with Nader? Was it during the London years or during the DePriest years or what?
I think it was during the Depression back in the 1930s, Neely. Seriously. The 80s, the glorious 80s, Decline of Western Civilization, Part 2 era.
Okay, very cool. Now, Tim, Nader has become quite a fixture here on the Classic Metal Show. I met Nader about 5 years ago, and he and I just hit it off. We're just like bros. Chris has got a special relationship with Nader because they're constantly ranking each other, if I could use that term today. That's kind of a 70s thing, but they're constantly cutting each other down.
Right.
Well, what goes around comes around, right, Neely?
Right, exactly. Well, Tim, getting right into it, being that you were involved with the London years during the Decline movie, and you still play with Lizzie Gray now, I'm going to ask you straight out, what's Lizzie's problem with Nader?
Wow.
I don't think there's any problems. I think people go different ways, and we're in a different decade now, so I don't think Lizzie has a problem with anybody. Really?
Because I've actually asked Lizzie, about Nader, and if I flew out to Hollywood when Cleopatra released their Hollywood Rocks box set. I was a guest out there for that show. And, I had Lizzie on the show back then and interviewed him as well as some of the other people who were on the box set. And I asked Lizzie, I said, hey, what's the chances of, letting Nader come up on stage with you during your set and maybe you can knock out a London tune together, just kind of celebrate the evening. And he basically straight out told me, well, when Lizzie Gray is on stage, only Lizzie Gray has the mic and Lizzie doesn't share the mic with anyone.
Neely and Chris, you let me work on Lizzie Gray, all right? Let me work on the guy. We'll get some... I'm not done with this yet.
Nice. Well, dude, playing with Lizzie Gray, when you guys go into rehearsal, what do you do? Go buy a bunch of Fleetwood Mac and Blondie records to rehearse with so that you get the songs ready, or what?
Oh, no, dude. We go back 70s, man. I'm talking Earth, Wind, and Fire, bro.
Lizzie does seem to have a proclivity to write songs based on other songs.
Chris, don't you have the platform heels with the goldfish? I thought you still had those, right? Those goldfish are dead, though, right?
Yeah, they're dead. They were tasty.
Yeah, there's no formula. You should guys to come out. Next time you come out, I'll put you on the guest list for the next Cleopatra party, and you can cruise on by.
Sure.
We do some drinking, and you guys drink, don't you?
Sure.
You're not clean and sober, are you? Are you guys in AA?
No, we're trying to kill our livers.
come on down. You're invited anytime. I'd love to have you guys come down to rehearsal. And we'll get you the mic. You guys, which one of you guys is a singer? One of you guys sings, right?
I'm the singer. Neely's the drummer.
Right.
You might remember Neely's band, dude, because you were back on the Strip back then. But you remember Steel Piston, early 80s?
I wasn't on the Strip in the early 80s, the late 80s, but I like the name of the band. Why don't you send me something to Cleopatra? You got a demo?
Well, we'll have to dig up some of that old music and see if we can send something out to you.
Maybe we'll put you on a compilation, yeah? Like a tribute record or
Neely.
something, a compilation. Yeah?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that I wasn't asked to submit any photos for the Hollywood Rocks, book, the coffee table book, but
What do you got, Neely? What do you got? What rare photos do you got? I'm all ears, dude.
Oh, there's just me, sitting behind the drum kit, and us up on stage jamming over there at the Whiskey and over at the Troubadour, and things like that.
What? No shots of you between Lita Ford's legs? Come on, bro.
She hadn't hit the scene quite yet.
Tim, you don't remember their singer? What is his name? Bill Christopher. He actually he roadied for a lot of those bands. Like I believe he roadied for. Didn't he roadie for Warrant or Poison or one of them, Neely?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that was at least a 4 or 5 year effort in the making, and I got to give credit to Brian Pereira. He came up with the idea for a coffee table book on the 80s hair scene because it hadn't been done before. We saw a ton of punk rock books that were really well done out on the West Coast, and Brian just started collecting shit. And he's an LA guy. He was born in LA, went to high school, college in LA, so he's not a transplant, so to speak. And after the fact, it's really easy to point to the page and say, shit, I've got that photo. But if we go into third pressing, I'll be happy to look at some photos if you guys can put some up. But just the dirt, guys. We want the dirt,
Sure, absolutely. Well, Tim, we were talking. You and I were talking off air about our interview with Lizzie Gray, who obviously guitarist with London, founded London with Nikki Sixx, and Blackie Lawless did a stint with them, and who else was in that? Fred Corey and
Izzy
Stradlin, and the school for rock stars, as it were. And we had a good time with Lizzie, kind of goofing on him a little bit. And you said you found that interview entertaining, huh?
Absolutely, man. It's all good. It's all good fun, right, guys? And Lizzie's a colorful guy, and don't get him started. If you want to start talking about the old days, give him a couple of beers, and you'll want to have your tape recorder with you, your digital recorder with you, because he's got some awesome stories. And Nader can tell you some of the stories. But hearing guys interview him in the past, they always want to go back to Nikki Sixx, but there's a lot more to Lizzie Gray than just founding London. He also put a band together called Ultra Pop, which is the band I joined right after I left London, the native version of London. I went right into Ultra Pop, and that was a totally different trip. He was stepping out in front of the mic. It took a lot of balls. All those years he was writing the melodies, writing the lyrics for these songs, but he wasn't singing them. And Ultra Pop, if you want to dig it up, if not, I'll send you some from Cleopatra, something we might do something with digitally on iTunes. Really different style than London. I think you guys would be surprised. I don't think you touched on that in your interview, though, Neely, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Ultra Pop morphed into Spiders and Snakes. We did a couple shows with Ultra Pop. I think we played with Quiet Rider, Kevin Dubrow back on the Strip. But we changed the name to Spiders and Snakes right about when the grunge era hit. Remember 1991, Seattle hit, sound started changing. So we, like everyone else, we drop-tuned and started writing heavier material. And we changed the name from Ultra Pop to Spiders and Snakes. That record came out in 91.
That's cool. Well, Tim, obviously, man, I want to move out of being a musician for a minute and move forward to, to Cleopatra. Now, Cleopatra, clearly, you take your lumps because, like anything else, you're releasing a lot of stuff that's, considered the old bands or the old style or whatnot. But in a very large way, you have been one of the very big forerunners of keeping this music alive, man. Was that why you started it in the first place, or why exactly did you start Cleopatra?
Well, I don't own Cleopatra. That would be Brian Pereira, but he did literally steal me from another label called Century Media Records back in 98, 97, 98, and the whole hair metal phenomena hadn't turned around yet. You guys remember, you were doing the show back then. the whole appreciation of the collectors that this kind of music hadn't really hit yet. And Brian was always a fan, and somehow this dude, man, he's the best A&R guy I've ever met in my life. I mean, come on, he signed Spiders and Snakes in 1999 when no one else would touch the band. So what he did was he first discovered goth, industrial. He got in on the underground at the right time. He got in on the DJ market at the right fucking time. He got in on the punk market on the right time. The guy's constantly changing with the pulse, and that's why he's the best. To me, he's the best independent record company in America because he can change, and like you guys mentioned, Neely, he can help keep stuff alive. And there's a lot of people like Brian out in the world that just, they don't have the guts to put their money where their mouth is. And that's what I truly respect about the guy, because sometimes he'll make a decision based on a hunch rather than, accountants telling him what he has to do. And he's a maverick in that way. And I love working for him. He's changed my life. What can I say?
Sure. Well, dude, doing that, man, I mean, there's been some, obviously there's been, like any label, there's been good releases and then there's been bad releases. Do you look at any of the releases after they come out and go, oh, what were we thinking here? This was a real misstep?
That's like asking Paul McCartney, did you ever look back at all the songs you've written in the past, 2 decades and say, oh, shit, why did I write that one? Yeah. Of course, you have your good decisions and bad decisions, and the good decisions are the ones that the audience responds to, and the bad decisions are the one that, the accountant probably told you should put out. Hey, it's a volume business, guys, and obviously it's not down to a science. If it was down to a science, and you wouldn't see 3 major record companies left eating up all the small ones. It is a crapshoot, but I think that if you have fun with it, if you really believe in what you're doing, can you have a business mistake that doesn't pay off in the books at the end of the year? Sure. We all have those. Did the audience react the way you anticipated? No, we get stinkers, and I read all those reviews. I got to tell you about the reviews. I love every one of them, guys. When I read the Motley Crue tribute getting trashed on one of the sites, I took it, I sucked it in, I took the information, had a good chuckle, and said, you know what, you can't live in regret. You got to move forward. You got to roll the dice. That's how life is.
Sure. Well, Tim, a couple years ago, we interviewed Stephen Piercy. Stephen Piercy became a fixture here on the Classic Metal Show right after this interview, and he's a repeat guest. He's probably one of the most frequent guests next to Nader on the show. And this is what he had to say about Cleopatra Records.
And we're also through Top Fuel, we're releasing compilations and tributes and best of. One coming up here is Rat Attack, 20 hits, 20 years. It is the 20th year anniversary of Rat and Roll as we knew it and know it. And I've been re-recording this stuff and with different players, guitar players, Lynch to the Zavons to the Tracy Guns to the you name it. Everybody's, we're having a good time with it now.
Sure. Well, you're almost becoming the new Cleopatra Records there.
Oh, God, that's great. Fueler is actually released through Cleo. I'm very happy about that.
How about that?
Hey, that's great. Again, we'll take the press, guys. Say the name of the label as many times as you can, good or bad, because the fact is, even negative publicity is better than zero publicity. And we have a love-hate relationship with some of the fans, and we read the blogs, we see them, and again, we chuckle, we move on, and we try to have fun with it.
Sure. Now, what?
Fuck them anyway. Fuck them anyway, man. They're all downloading the stuff for free anyway, right?
You know what? If they download 50 to 100 songs for free, but then they turn around and buy 5 or 6 albums, it kind of evens out. And again, we got to move with technology. And the download's the next best thing. Then we'll move on to video downloads, which we're working on also.
Sure. Now, what was the Deadline imprint? What was that? What was that in relation to Cleopatra?
That was Brian's brainchild. He came up with Deadline kind of before anyone was even doing the hair metal. It was back, again, late 80s. Paul Oakenfold was all the rage. Hip-hop was all the rage. And out of nowhere, Brian comes out with a hair metal label. He started putting out Quiet Riot and L.A. Guns. I mean, how cool was that to do in the face of hip-hop? And that he couldn't put on the Cleopatra because people knew of Cleopatra, more like Raised in Black, Switchblade Symphony, and more the goth industrial stuff. So he couldn't put out, Tracy Guns, L.A. Guns on Cleopatra. We came up with Deadline, and that was his ode to the hair metal.
Well, what was the reason back in the late 90s, I think it was, where you had bands like fragments of bands like Love Hate and even LA Guns and the Bullet Boys and stuff re-record a lot of their material for Deadline Cleopatra?
First of all, you got to realize, Neely, these are names that you just mentioned to me that are attached with albums that have sold millions worldwide, and that they still have adoring fans. And alluding to that point of the star power of these people, we're blessed, dude. We're right here in Hollywood. We are right here in Hollywood, California, and these guys are within 15 minutes of us. So not only do we have a geographic, access to these superstars, but these people are still active. They still have their chops. You can throw a stone in Los Angeles and hit two studios with one stone, and it's really conducive to bringing people together that you might meet at the Rainbow one night. The next night you're recording a track and you're putting it on iTunes. It's a blessing in disguise, really.
Sure. Well, I had picked up a few of those re-records, and got to be honest with you, Tim, not impressed, because you're kind of expecting to hear, the original version, which obviously is owned by some other record label, and not expecting to be a re-recorded version, and you're just like, what is this?
True, Neely, but we're not all gifted with your ears, my brother. You've got that golden set of ears, and we don't all have that ability, a lot. Hey, look, face it. Is it something you're going to go home and listen to a million times? I don't know. But if you're a hardcore fan of Stephen Pearcy or Tracy Guns or Lizzie Gray, and they're out there, I still get the emails for Lizzie, you'll buy anything, or you're a collector. You might just love that era and you're going to support it, or you want to have another track with Stephen Pearcy because he's your favorite guy. I mean, come on, Neely, who's your idol? Give me someone, a sports figure, a musician, movie star. Who's your idol?
Evel Knievel.
All right. Do you buy Evel Knievel paraphernalia, memorabilia, collector's items?
Just mostly video, DVD type stuff.
I might pop that in and say, Jesus Christ, that's old school stuff. That's a guy on a bike killing himself. Woo! But to you're the collector. You're the fan. He's your hero. The guy shit on a piece of toilet paper and framed it. You might buy it. Who knows? It might be on eBay for $1 million.
Nice.
You're a fan, and you support your guys. I mean, Jesus Christ, how many New York Yankees items do I have in my house? I'm a Yankee fan, dude. Is it all high quality? Nah. It might be a bumper sticker. It might be a keychain. We're talking about fans, though, right?
Sure.
Well, dude, did you guys put out the Love Hate Latest and Greatest? Was that you guys?
That would have been on Deadline.
That would have been. I will give credit where credit is due. The re-recording of "I Wish I Had More Time" on there is better than the original. So there, Neely.
See, we might be partners in this show, but we don't always agree on everything.
Not Chris. I think one of my favorite songs by that. No, definitely my favorite song with that band is "Spinning Wheel." And
great one.
I got to admit, the studio version, back in the day, it's better than what we have, but I don't have that CD sitting at work, so I'm not beyond walking in the warehouse and grabbing that Love, Hate, Greatest, and Latest and just putting Spinning Wheel on, because it's not as good as the original, but it still rocks.
Sure. Right on, man. Well, dude, obviously the latest project, I'll try and tie both things together. The latest project that's coming out of Cleo is the London, the Metal Years, and, obviously these are songs that were in various stages of being done or being released. What is the how did this thing come together? Was it stuff that you had or Nader, or did you guys all get together somewhere and kind of throw all your tapes in one pile and see what you had, or what?
I pulled a box out of my closet here in Beverly Hills. I blew the dust off, and I found all these cassettes that had been sitting there since, I think, 1989. This cassette I had not been played, and I popped it into the one cassette player I could find. I said, holy shit, this stuff sounds pretty good. And I read the label. These were our 1989 demo sessions that London went in right after Lizzie left the band, right after the Metal Years movie. We attracted interest through some of the band members with the producer named Richie Podlor. For those who don't know that name, it's not a household name, but Richie's the guy that did, Joy to the World by Three Dog Night, Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf, Alice Cooper, Heart. We were blessed enough to go into that studio, and we were doing demos, I think, for Noise Records back in the day, a label that's now defunct. And no one did anything with the tapes. The producer had given me the cassette, I think, the second night of that, And guys, I threw it in a box, and it's been with me for 20 years. I took it into Cleopatra. I played it for my boss, Brian. He's like, damn, that shit sounds pretty good. Maybe we should get it mastered. That's the only recording we had. So we called my buddy Anthony Fox, who you guys probably know through Beautiful Creatures.
Sure.
Anthony does a lot of mastering work for Cleopatra. The guy's a guru, and I highly recommend him to your listeners. If you want something mastered, call fucking Anthony Fox. He's the best. Anthony took this tape, and he went back and he did his digital magic at his studio, and he came back and he says, Timmy, that drum sound you got is amazing. This thing sounds great. So for whatever reason, guys, Nader says it was Richie's tape machines, but that analog tape saturation that Anthony somehow popped out digitally, that was basically a demo tape, and it was live. It was one take. There's no overdubs. They mic'd up my drums. They put Brian West direct. Sean had his stack going, and Nader went in the vocal booth by himself with a microphone. You don't hear any harmonies. You don't hear any double tracking. There's not even a tambourine or percussion track. There's nothing. That's how London sounded in 1989 when we were playing clubs like up in San Francisco. We were doing the Stone. We were playing the Roxy in Hollywood. We just got done doing all these club dates. That's how we sounded at that weekend, at that time in 1989, and that's basically what that Metal Year CD is.
Well, it's definitely good stuff, man. The only way it could have been better is if you didn't have the hairdresser singing, but that's a whole nother issue.
It would have been nice to have, gotten back to the 2-inch tapes, and Brian asked me about that, and I don't know if we can still get to those 2-inch tapes, but if Sean still has them, it would be fun to go back and dress that up a little bit. The thing I like about it, what Nader and Sean like about it, if you guys will talk to Sean Lewis, is just the energy. Some of the takes, yeah, you're right, we're feeling our way around. Nader's telling us, slow down, back up, turn up, change this, and you can hear him directing us on the microphone. But some of the songs like Time is Money, Love Games, we had those songs down because we had been touring and we had done those songs so many times. But a lot of it's experimental. Maybe we could have cut it to 14 songs, but Brian wanted to keep it original. Like, this is the demo, this is the real shit. And again, dudes, we're talking collectors. We're not going to submit this one to the Grammys,
Sure. I think I ran into that producer one night at the Rainbow. I had walked up to him and I introduced myself and told him I was a fan of his work. And you know what he said to me?
Huh?
Who the fuck are you, shitwad?
Well, that must have been Richie's brother.
Yeah. So I just kind of walked away, and was just kind of like dejected and stuff. And I think that's when I broke up the band.
Or was it the time at the swimming hole? No, we won't talk about that.
Well, Tim, what piqued your interest about wanting to come to Cleveland and being part of our 13-year anniversary and being part of, the show?
I think it's just the excitement of playing with Nader and Sean again and playing the old songs again. And it just happened in a weird way, guys. The CD seems to be taking off. And this resurgence of the interest in the band is, let's go. I'm ready to go, man.
Well, you know that the Classic Metal Show is 100% responsible for bringing Nader back out into the scene, right?
Well, I think for that you guys should, maybe get a little deal going with him. Maybe he can endorse the show and go out and increase your listenership and maybe get you guys some sponsors. Who knows? Maybe we can bring your show even bigger.
Right. Well, Nader's a good dude, and we're glad to have him at the show, and we'll be glad to have you at the show come January 17th. And, it should be a good party. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I'll one-up you guys, man. Chris, Neely, I think we need to do an L.A. fundraiser or an L.A. celebration for the Classic Metal Show. I think we should get a stage for you here. I think we should get London to play. I think we should get, Lizzie and Spiders and Snakes to play. I think we should get maybe Stephen Piercy to play. Maybe we'll get the guys in Warrant to come down. Maybe we'll get Fred Corey to come down. We should do a jam. We should do a classic metal fucking show in Hollywood, California, where this shit all started in the first place. And we'd go over big. We could raise a lot of money for you guys. Who knows? Maybe we can turn you guys into a TV show.
Well, there you go. I mean, we're all for that. I'm ready to jump on a plane. In fact, I've flew out to Hollywood twice this year just to catch two of Nader's show. I caught him over there at the Cat Club down there on the Strip, and just recently, a couple weeks ago, I caught him over there at the Key Club, opening up for that Steel Panther. And we're ready to rock. We're ready to roll.
No, we need to get you guys live on stage in Hollywood. We can call it a classic metal show goes Hollywood. We'll get some walk-ons. I think we have a lot of fun with it, and blow up some merchandise for you guys as well. Just really get the whole fucking state addicted to your show. How's that?
That works for us, man. We're ready to do that.
And maybe I can get Cleopatra to kick in some kind of promotion. Who knows? Maybe we can work on a
$5
We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out. Only one rule, guys. I get to play drums that night, and whatever band.
Sure. Have at it. Have at it. Well, Tim, is there anything else you want to tell the fans about Cleopatra, about yourself, any projects you're involved with, anything that websites, MySpace, etc.?
You support the classic metal show, people. Support this genre. Support Neely. Support Chris. Don't give up. Turn your friends onto it. Tune in. Turn it up loud, and then let's keep rock and roll going.
Excellent. Well, I've actually got some audio of our first classic metal show night out that we hosted so many years ago, and we actually had mics out in the audience. And it's a different story today, obviously, but here's some audio from the first time that we actually took the stage to do a classic metal show night out.
Yep. I give us about 20 minutes before our first ass raping.
So, it's gone from there.
That was it? That was your soundbite?
That was it. That was the one guy. That was the one guy in the audience.
Dude, call me back when you got at least 10 seconds, man. No, listen. You come out to Hollywood. I'll throw you guys some. I'll help you guys out with this. Seriously, I mean this. You're recording me, so I can't back out of this shit. I'll help you find a location in Hollywood. I'll help us find some kind of facility where we can put on some live bands where we can get it really going. I'll talk to some of my DJ friends right here in LA, like Sheena Metal. I'll try to get you some radio pop here. And let's do a show out here, man.
Sure.
Fucking Chris and Neely, Classic Metal Show presents, Classic Metal Show, go on Hollywood.
Excellent.
And Nate and I will bring the girls, yeah?
Yeah, sounds like a great time.
Let's do it.
All right, Tim. Well, you've been a good guest. You obviously have a good sense of humor about this kind of stuff, and that's the kind of guys we like on the show. And we'll look forward to having you wing your way into Cleveland and be part of the Classic Metal Show 13-year anniversary and get up on stage and wail with Nader and remember the good times.
Hey, it'll be fun. Looking forward to it, guys.
All right, Tim. Well, before we let you go, we need to ask you the traditional Classic Metal Show question. We've been asking this for years and got hundreds of different answers from all kinds of guys. And, well, here it is. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
I want to be just like him.
Well, don't we all? All right, Tim.
That's it.
Well, we'll go pick up the new London The Metal Years. It's a 16-track release that's on Cleopatra Records. It's available now. And, Tim, why don't you pick a track and we'll close the interview with it.
My favorite track on that demo session that Nader and I are going to re-record is Spanish Harlem. You've got to check out the groove. Of course, check out the drums. But the hot melody, the wonderful guitar work of Sean Lewis, that was never on the DePriest record, never came out before on CD until Cleopatra Records brought it to you. So check out. This is London, Spanish Harlem.
Excellent. Right here on your Classic Metal Show. Thanks for checking out the best of the Classic Metal Show. You can tune into the Classic Metal Show live every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern, exclusively at www.theclassic